Here's Dave.
Thanks, Tessa. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, not counting some skin cancers, prostate cancer is the United States' most common cancer in men. Now, East Cooper Knows Health, and today Dr. Nelson Plow joins us from Palmetto Adult and Children's Urology. Great to see you, Dr. Plow.
Dave, thanks for having me here.
So, how big of a problem is prostate cancer in the United States?
Well, there would be about 30,000 cases of cancer death this year alone from prostate cancer.
And you're talking about death. That's not people diagnosed.
That's not people diagnosed. You know, the incidence of men developing prostate cancer is 1 in 6. So it's high. It's very high. And
I don't think a lot of guys know that. I obviously don't know that. So what are some of the signs maybe that you may be developing cancer of the prostate?
Well, it's a very silent sort of process, and usually by the time you have symptoms, you know, 75% of the people, the cancer is already spread outside the prostate, and there's nothing you can do to cure it, and that's why the whole process of screening for prostate cancer becomes so important.
So who needs screened? When do you start the screenings? Things like that.
Part of it depends on a couple of issues. One is your family history. If you have a family history of prostate cancer and you're Caucasian, you should start within the ages of 40 or 45. African American men are genetically predisposed to developing cancer at a much earlier age, and also a type of cancer that tends to be more aggressive and spread more quickly. So they particularly need to be screened at starting probably about the age of 40.
Now, is this something that can be easily detected at an early stage?
Right. The PSA test, for which there has been a lot of controversy, while maybe not being 100%, is still the best test available to screen for prostate cancer. By screening, we have shown that we've been able to reduce cancer deaths in prostate by 44%.
Now, if you catch it early, what is the survival rate? Is it pretty good?
95% of men who have organ-confined prostate cancer will survive for 10 years.
Wow. So how do you treat it?
There's a couple of different treatment options. One is radical prostatectomy, of which the majority are performed robotically. One of my partners, Dr. Ted Brisson, does a large number of robotic prostatectomies in the Low Country. And it usually involves about a 2-hour surgery, an overnight stay in the hospital, a catheter for about a week, and then restriction of activities for about 6 weeks. The other options are radiation therapy, for which there's prostate seed implant, which is a high dose of radiation seeds placed within the prostate, or external beam. And the recovery from that is usually within about a 4 to 6 week period of time as well.
So what do you say to a guy maybe my age, a couple years older? What do you say they should do? How often should they be screened, and who should they talk to?
Well, you can either be seen by your primary care, or we also offer public prostate screenings every year. We've had a whole string of prostate screenings which have been done throughout the Low Country in the last couple of weeks. To my surprise, though, the number of turnout has been about 50% of what it was last year. And I think this is in part due to some of the controversy from the U.S. Preventative Task Force.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, because we don't want people to get confused when we're talking about your own body and your own health.
Right. You know, my main message today is that you need to be checked, you need to be screened, because the life you're going to save will be your own. You know, so despite what they have in the paper, what's in on some of the TV things, it's really best that you take your own initiative and you get checked.
Definitely. So besides screening and things like that, are there some things that gentlemen can do to maybe avoid prostate types of cancer, maybe a diet, exercise, things like that?
Those are all great questions, because we've been looking at that extensively, trying to figure out, okay, what's causing it? If you look at the epidemiology of men from Africa, men from China, their incidence of prostate cancer is very, very low. Then they come to the United States, assume the diet that we have here, then their rate of prostate cancer really skyrockets.
Wow.
And so it's some sort of dietary factor. We haven't really narrowed it down to what the specific thing is. My big thing is just try to eat natural foods. Try to stay away from anything that comes in a box and a bag.
Okay.
Because there's all sorts of chemicals, and there's something in one of these chemicals that's acting as a promoter for the cancer cells. We're not sure exactly what it is. You know, we've looked at too much red meat, not enough red meat, too much fat, not enough fat. haven't really picked up exactly what the culprit is.
But just try to eat whole foods, vegetables,
Whole foods, natural
like
foods,
that.
unprocessed foods is really the best thing for you.
Definitely. Well, Dr. Ploe, hopefully we can help some gentlemen out there, and you've given us some great advice.
Great. Thank you for having me on the show. Appreciate it. All right.
All right. Well, Mount Pleasant ladies are turning heads with new looks from top to bottom. Just ahead, from your hair to your clothes, two businesses are here to showcase their offerings. Stay with us.